Mindsets, whether fixed or growth oriented, significantly impact how we learn, cope with challenges, and achieve goals, influencing our thoughts, feelings, and even our physiological responses. A growth mindset where abilities are seen as developable is very crucial for success, while a fixed mindset where abilities are seen as static can hinder progress. Yeah. So in this video, I would like us to look on our spiritual side of it, and let's just try to have a very flexible mindset in a way that how we can see how can we approach our spiritual side in relation to our social side, yeah, and how can we change our mindset actually through studying our spiritual side, because the body of human life is constructed in such a way that it must move towards a spiritual direction. That is one thing for sure. Okay. Unfortunately, this body is anchored to worldly mundane by five strong chains. So, and I would like us to see on how we can actually beat all these chains, yeah? Because if it is actually, if these five strong chains are holding us back from having a kind of growth mentality, then we must see on how also we can break them. Okay? So there are five strong chains that are holding us from, changing our aspect of mind in understanding our spiritual side. Number one, we have attachment to material body due to ignorance of spiritual facts. So many people are living in this world as if we are just animals, yeah? And then we keep on, you know, no one is ready to actually talk about the spiritual side. And whenever this question of the spirituality or your spiritual side is brought up, you usually think of maybe you need to be holier than thou, you need to look like someone, like some hero who is in a Bible or in a Vedic book. No. There are simple things that we actually go through in our day-to-day life, through our social life. Okay. And it will be very important that we do not be very ignorant when it comes to our spiritual knowledge. Okay. Another thing that actually keeps us away from realizing our consciousness is attachment to kinsmen due to bodily relations. This is this is my dad, this is my mom, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my uncle, this is my aunt, this is my wife, this is my child, this is my son, this is my daughter. You get what I mean? All these things. So even the Bible says, for those who have families, for those, can you start living as if you do not have? I think there is a verse in the Bible that actually Jesus was trying to advise people on living as though they never owned anything. You get what I mean? However much you are very conscious that this is yours or this is, but then you need to actually live as though you own nothing, because in the spirit we are not attached to anything. We do not own anything. Look at it this way, that when you die, you go owning with nothing. You get? And when you're born with nothing. That shows you that we are spirits. When we go back in the spiritual form. We go with nothing. When we come, before we were spirits, that means we were with nothing. Okay? So another thing that keeps us all this glued up is attachment to the land of birth and material possessions, such as house, business, etc., and all that. Nowadays, people are so obsessed with this is mine, and I cannot move out of this location because I have business here. I cannot do this because I have this. You get? Such things are sometimes they hinder us from having that spiritual life in a way that it grounds us. It grounds us in a way that we do not find ourselves flexible to experience new things, to have new experiences, to allow new things in our life. Yeah. Yet the Bible itself says you need to live as though you do not have. You get mentally. I'm not saying physically, but then you need to look into how you can delegate these things. That's why it say that if your work do not require any creativity, you should either delegate it or automate it or leave it if it does not need creativity, because it if it involves creativity, then it means that you are the person who is creating. You're the creator, and you can move with your body wherever, whenever. You get what I mean? So another thing is that keeps us so anchored to worldly, or do not realize our consciousness when it comes to mindset, is attachment to material science, which always remains mysterious for want of spiritual light. You get what I mean? Science explains to us so many things. There are a lot of theories, Mara gravity, Mara we have spherical earth, Mara other flat earth, Mara, you get what I mean? Things just keep on popping up. But then you realize that however much all these things keep on coming, there is one aspect that, it's usually not finished, it's usually not complete. There is usually something that needs to be, clarified. it it usually just, it craves for spiritual what, for some spiritual kind of explanation part of it. You get what I mean? Therefore, I would like us to maybe just try to be very flexible when it comes to embracing knowledge on our spiritual side of it, and applying it on our social, yeah, for our just for the growth mindset. Be very flexible to welcome new ideas, to welcome new people in your life, to experience new things in your life, okay, for the growth part of it. Another thing is attachment to religious forms and holy rituals without knowing the personality of God or his devotees who make them holy. I, a few minutes ago, I told you that the mindset that we got towards, spirituality is that whenever someone says, or someone comes up with a spiritual idea, or says spirituality, or says I'm spiritual, most people tend to think that, you know, the holier than thou kind of way, or something unimaginable away from this world, yeah. But then you need to realize that, or you need to question yourself that whoever is teaching you, or whoever is telling you these things, how legit is this information? You get what I mean? The genuineness of them, the genuineness of people who are telling you, because there are so many religious forms. Actually, if you watch the previous videos, I said there is a video I said on natural symbols. Yeah, I said that there is need for us to be explained to this the religion part of it. There is need for us to try to explain events, whether spiritual or religious, according to what? According to current events and situations, of our era. But then you find people still, we are still attached to the old ways, to the old information. But then we find it's not, they are not even it's not serving us, because we cannot relate to them directly. We need to be of flexible, and be able to look onto how we can integrate all these things to support us. You get what I mean? We do not have to be of fixed mindset so much, and not embrace change, or give other people opinion a chance, in order for us to see on how to mend this, to mend kind of a growth mindset, or see change in our lives. Yeah. So these chains can be broken by weapon of detachment. You get what I mean? So by doing this, there is a question that you need to ask yourself, just the way I have said. Before you are born, And after you die, where were you before you were born? And then after you die, where do you go? You need to ask yourself these things. You get what I mean? So, by these chains can be broken by the weapon of detachment. By so doing, one must take that place from which, having gone, or having once gone, one never returns, and they are surrendered to God. You're surrendered to God. Like when I say surrender to God, I mean, um, what when you surrender, what do you do when you surrender? It means you give it your all. Like you do not resist it no more. You know, you do not resist it no more. That is when we say you have surrendered, you have completely or fully surrendered. Yeah. So, and there is a way in which we must detach ourselves from every material. We need to detach ourselves from every material aspect mentally, because for us to change our mindset, then our mentality has a very big part, has a very big part in playing the development of what, of a growthful mindset, you know. And I would like to say that the brain is capable of forming new connections and adapting throughout life, supporting the idea of growth mindset. Trust me, it only depends on the things that you come across, or the things that you allow still to go on in your life. And I've said that this can be done by detachment. You can actually develop your brain by detaching yourself from the things that you're used to, or from the beliefs that you have been knowing ever since. Because you need to evaluate, you have to sit down at a certain point of your life, or at a certain point of a situation, and ask yourself, like, what actually knowledge do I have according to this particular circumstance that I am in, or whatever I'm trying to solve, or through the whole life, what information have I been holding on to, you know? And when it comes to a time that you need to change in your life, you need to realize that what is serving you and that is not serving you, and know what to drop and what to take. And however much it something that you need to drop might be very much painful or very hard to agree with, then that is where I say that detachment is needed in order for you to be very successful in this journey of developing a growthful mindset. We must detach ourselves from everything material mentally. To make the best use of a bad bargain, our material existence must be 100% spiritualized. Yes. As fallible living entities, we have two phases of life existence. One, we have the material existence, and then which is full of miseries of, I told you, we have laws of nature. And these are miseries of birth, death, old age, and diseases, which are laws of nature. And then the spiritual existence we have, which is the side, the other phase of life as human beings that we have the spiritual side. We have the material and the spiritual side. Yeah, the spiritual side, which there is incessant spiritual life of eternity, bliss and knowledge. You get what I mean? In material existence, we are ruled by the material conception of the body and mind. That's why I said we need to detach from every material aspect of life mentally for us to realize the growth mindset of it. Okay? And in spiritual existence, we can always relish the happy, transcendental contact of God. In spirit, God is never lost to us. God is everywhere in spirit. Take it in this way, yeah? Online, everything is there. And I'm saying we'll just look at all these things on how we can realize our spiritual aspect of life. Pole pole, step by step, in as we go on, yeah? So in our present material consciousness, we are attached to the social material conception of life, but this conception can be removed at once by devotional service to God or to God consciousness. Through devotional service, we can be liberated the modes of one, goodness, passion, and what? And ignorance. Remember, I told you like we have mainly like we have three modes in which way in the form that everything happens in this life. You either do things for out of goodness or out of passion or ignorance. People, believe it or not, there are people who do things that they cannot even explain why they are doing them. There are people who go to school, they don't even know why they go to school. Or you can find someone going to church, they don't know why they are going there. You get what I mean? So, so through devotional service, we can be liberated from the modes from all these modes. And for you to have a growth mindset, I think the devotional part of it is usually the best, because you will realize whether you enjoy what you're doing or you like whatever you're doing or you do not, or whatever you're doing, whether it's supporting you or not, because nowadays people we do things for money. We are used to doing stuff for money, but then that it it has a disadvantage again, because it hinders us from knowing ourselves. Because for you to start working for yourself, you need to start it from a point of zero, from a 0 point. But then mostly tunasemaga we need a ready-made stuff. Nataka niende pale, I do work for a month, and then like what? I'm given cash. I'm afraid of doing what? I'm afraid of devoting myself to my own path, and starting it at a zero level, and then eventually we see the growth part of it. You see where I'm coming from? You see, or rather where we're going to, the growth mindset part of it, why we need the growth mindset, because actually we will be growing. That's why we need the growth mindset. So before we put our seed, before we plant our seed under that ground, we need to realize that there is a mindset that we need to develop, because we need to know how to plow. We need to know that after plowing, then the planting comes, and then after planting, and then there is a waiting part, and then after waiting, and then after the germination, then there is even the weeding part of it. So pole pole. So first of all, let's realize that let's learn what we need. So the growth mindset is what we need. So why do we need the growth mindset? Because there are 4 classes of man naturally. But then I said mindset, decoding D.T.M, we are interested in the first class part of man, the first class type of man. Yeah, I told you there are 4 classes. The 4 classes are the kamis. They work for some material profit. The kamis. These are just Indian words. Kamis means those people who are profitable workers. They go to work for money. Okay, and then they're called fruitive workers. Yeah, and then I'll tell you where I want us to fall under, where this community has to fall under. We have the kamis. They work for some material profit. The fruitive workers, those people who go to work every day in the morning and whatever time. But then eventually, if you go to work and you expect money and it's not your work, just know that you are a kamis. You are a fruitive worker. Yeah? And then we have the jinanis. They work for people who, there are people who think, why am I working? Why am I working so hard? So the jinanis think, why am I working so hard? Why am I working so hard? They try to solve the miseries of life, that the laws of nature, old age, diseases, and death, birth, old age, diseases, and death. Yeah, they try to come up with inventions. These are people who come. They are the scientists now. Yeah, they try to question themselves, like, what can I do to conquer this, to conquer all, like what can I invent? Yeah, when diseases erupt, yeah, we usually have the WHO guys. Yeah, they come up with medicine plans and all that. Yeah, They try to solve all these miseries that come with the law of nature. And then there is another group of people that we call them yogis. They try to acquire some mystic power to exhibit some wonderful show. The the magicians, I would like to call them the magic guy, yeah, the magic man, and and I would like to tell you, like, do not confuse them by this con artists. We have con artists, and then we have the yogis. You get? So the yogis, they try to acquire some mystic power to exhibit some wonderful show in a way that, you know, mm, I don't know, they are abracadabra stuff kind of people. I would like to match them in that way. Yeah. And then eventually the fourth part of it, we have the bhaktas. The bhaktas. They try to acquire, they are the devotees. Doesn't want anything for himself. He just want to serve God out of love, just as a mother serves her child. But then the back the bhakta stage, you need to realize who is God, who are you serving, and how are you actually serving. You get what I mean? That is very crucial part of it again. So um only through the process of bhakti can one understand God. If you are interested in knowing God and loving Him, then you must accept the devotional process. The devotional process, because you will only have patience. You will only have patience when the journey is yours. And one funny thing is that when you actually decide to believe in God or try to find out in more of knowledge or information about God, then it will trickle back to you. You will need to first of all find about who you are or yourself, and then eventually you can understand God, because we are told that we are part and parcel of God. We, God is just the bigger picture, and then we are the trickles, because even in the Bible it is said that we are created in the image and likeness of God. So definitely you need to realize yourself and then realize God for you to be a bhakta, or rather a bhakti, or a devotee. You get what I mean? Because you do not realize, you do not expect anyone to pay you for you to take a journey of your self-realization. It is your, you have to devote yourself into knowing yourself, and eventually devote yourself after you have known yourself. Then you pick up from that journey. Okay. And um only through the process of bhakti can one understand God. If you are interested in knowing God and loving Him, then you must accept the devotional process. So for for you to take this process, I would like to say that why should we take the bhakta? That is why I'm saying that DTM, we are interested in the bhakti kind of class of nature of man, the bhakti kind of nature of class of man, because I wouldn't say that someone will come and pay you, or if I tell you to watch this video on, maybe on this content creation kind of videos, that I'll pay you if you watch. No, it is a devotional process. You have to devote yourself. You have to accept that eventually, now, finally, it is my time to devote myself into realizing what I like, into realizing what I want, into realizing why am I doing this, or why do I want this. Yeah. And there are four classes of man in a society, in our social side. Yeah. So we have a class of highly intelligent men, we have a class of administrators, and then we have a class of productive men, and then we have a class of ordinary workers. Let me tell you one thing: the four classes of man naturally and the four classes of man socially, all these classes are natural. The four classes that I have mentioned hapo awali, the kamis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the bhaktas, these are natural classes of man. They are very natural the way they sound, yeah. And then we have the four classes of man socially. They are also natural. You cannot do away with them. That is how things are, yeah. So socially, we have four classes of man. We have intelligent men, we have administrators, we have productive men, and then we have the ordinary workers. So in DTM, we are interested in creating the first class type of man. So the content type of creation that I would like to say that we will be learning will be the first class type of the content creation form of it. And with all that, I would like to say that I hope it will be of help, this knowledge that we have discussed here, and it will help you into realizing some things when it comes to your mental growth or mentality shift or changing part of it. So with all that said and done, I would like to say that let's keep it DTM, and as time goes by, we keep on watching as we learn on content creation and digital marketing. At least I hope that this video will have helped you on knowing why and how, or rather why you need to maybe adjust on your mindsets when it comes to this journey of content creation. Until next time, peace.